is my pleasure to welcome everyone here as we celebrate our military veterans by showcasing the new Wall of Heroes.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we held at the twilight's last gleam, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming. And the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Thank you, Rickards. The Rickards High School Junior ROTC program. I'd also like to thank Marrissa Brown of Underground Utilities for her beautiful rendition of the national anthem. I used to sing like that before I had this throat operation. We greatly appreciate her being here with us today. We at the city, along with the nation, will celebrate the Veterans Day Friday, November 11th. We felt that it would be most appropriate that we take the time today to honor our very own city employees and their immediate families with this tribute. The concept of the Wall of Heroes, which you see here, began several months ago. I happened to be at the hospital and I saw they have a wall where they have pictures of their heroes on that wall pinned on there. So I went to the person I go to when I feel we want to do something really special, and that's Mike Tadros. So I went to Mike and I said, hey man, you need to go by the hospital and see what they have. And I want it done better. And he said, hey man, we're already working on it. So they had already started the process, he and Jonathan, of laying it out and having a strategy, and probably my involvement just pushed it up. And they said, our goal is to have it by Veterans Day. And so here we are. For some, this wall will represent their personal experience. Others, this wall will serve as a way to remember those ones lost, long lost, a father, a brother, a mother, a sister, or a friend. Regardless, we can all stand together in unity to appreciate and thank those men and women, those who are with us and those who are not, for their courageous service. We estimate that about 15 to 20% of our city workforce has military background. These servicemen and women and veterans alike are very important to us and fill very important positions within our government. And thank you, sir. Regardless of our personal relation to the military, we all benefit from the sacrifices of our active duty and military veterans. The Wall of Heroes recognizes that benefit and shows a small token of our gratitude and appreciation. With that, I would like to ask the mayor, followed by the city commissioners, for some comments.
Good morning, everyone. What a very, very special occasion this is. Rick, Mr. Fernandez, thank you very much for your guidance and your leadership on this. To our, I believe, our Master of Ceremonies, Major Kilpatrick, who in addition to being with the Florida Air National Guard is also our Director of Technology and Innovation here at the city. I was sitting there looking at these pictures as they strolled by, and if they will serve a dual purpose. One, to obviously recognize the sacrifice and service of so many of our city employees, but it'll also serve as a reminder of what we look like when we all have our boxing weight on. I don't know if that was intentional or not, but it certainly is a piece of this. Most especially want to thank those veterans who served our nation, and many of which continue to serve our nation, who are here and present today. I want to thank the Rickards High School ROTC. I think they may have departed the building. They're in the back. Thank you all for what you are signing up for in your service already to this community. The city of Tallahassee, on the eve, 2 days eve of celebrating Veterans Day in this community, really consider this a high honor. That not only do we recognize you for your service to our nation, but we recognize you for your service to this community. It shows that you have a servant's and a heart for service. We also want to acknowledge today that we are also the first Purple Heart capital city in the state of Florida. That's a designation that this city strove for. That's right. It's a designation that we strove for and that we achieved. We also have another important distinction in this community with regards to veterans, and that is that Florida State University received the designation for being the most vet-friendly university in the state of Florida, and they also hold a high distinction for being a veterans-friendly institution across the country. You all are the folks who, I believe the statistic now is fewer than 1% of Americans have spent time or served in our armed services. That means 99% of the rest of us get to enjoy the comforts and the protection of your service really without ever having to sign up to do anything. And so the least we can do in this city government, and in this city hall is to acknowledge you for your service, for your sacrifice, and to thank you for what you've done on behalf of a grateful nation and how well you represent the city of Tallahassee in so doing. With that, I'm pleased to bring forward my colleague, Commissioner Nancy Miller, who will be followed by Commissioner Curtis Richardson and Commissioner Scott Maddox. Commissioner Miller.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. It's wonderful to see all of you here because this is a really special tribute that we've chosen one of the most high-profile spots in City Hall so that people will see it immediately when they come in anywhere and on this side of the building. It's beautiful. I want to thank the city manager and Mr. Tadros too and his team for thinking of this, for recognizing this as something that we really want to do, and for executing it in time for Veterans Day. You know, what makes this Wall of Heroes special are the people that are up here, the people that are shown. And among them, there are many women. All of these folks were people who stepped up when they were asked to serve and risked their lives for us, for our country, and our way of life. And I'm very proud of those women that are part of this group. There are probably 200,000 women in active duty in the military now, and many of them have reached the high ranks of general and admiral. So women are, I hate to say breaking barriers on a day like today, but that's the truth. All over, in all corners of our society, we do see more and more women being accepted into those areas and making their mark, to work hard to make this city, this county, this state, this country great again. I don't mean to be political, but it just all comes to mind. Many of the people who were, there are others that were sacrificed too, and I want to make a mention of the families, the folks who nominated their loved ones to be part of this exhibit. In many cases, they made major sacrifices by the loss of their loved one, and they wanted to make sure that those people were remembered. So that's what we're doing here today. We're making sure that we remember, we're making sure that we honor, and we're making sure that we thank all of the veterans, especially today, the ones that have been a member of our city family. And with that, I'd like to bring up my colleague, Commissioner Curtis Richardson.
Thank you, Commissioner Miller. Good afternoon. It is indeed a pleasure to be here this afternoon and to honor those who are a part of the City of Tallahassee family, who have sacrificed and given so much for this great country that we live in. As I was sitting there, I was reflecting on my own family. My family, I come from a big family. There was 8 of us, 7 boys and 1 girl. All of my brothers and my father served time in the military, and in our family we've got over 100 years of military service. My father served 27 years in the United States Navy, and my brothers served either in the Navy or the Air Force, and nephews and nieces that have served. And so it's personal for me from that perspective, but we certainly want to recognize, as we about to approach Veterans Day, where throughout this country we will be recognizing veterans and their families for the sacrifice that they have made to make this great country great. They have gone whenever they have been called in theaters all over the world to protect this country and to make sure that our democratic form of government exists. And that even today, regardless of what your position was during this election, we can see the peaceful transfer of power at the highest level, and that our country will continue to be great, particularly because of these brave young men and women who have chosen to serve their country and to protect the freedoms and liberties that we all enjoy and sometimes even take for granted. But this is our opportunity to let them know in a very tangible way that we appreciate what they've done, the sacrifice that they and their families have made. And this will be hopefully a perpetual memorial to what they have done for this country. And so anyone visiting City Hall will be able to come and pull up the names and faces and biographies of those that are continuing to serve the public through their employment with the City of Tallahassee. We'll be able to pull up those names and faces and recognize them for the service that they have given to this great nation. So, Mr. City Manager, again, thank you for your leadership and the staff that are responsible for this great tribute here this afternoon. Thank you all so much, and may God bless and keep every one of you.
Thank you, Mr. Manager. I tell you, my family is military service as well, Commissioner, and my father served in the Korean War, and he was in the 187th Regimental Combat Team, the 82nd Airborne, a Ranger, did 3 tours in Korea, 11th Airborne, a drill instructor at the jump school at Benning, all before he was 20. And he currently serves as a civilian aide to the Secretary of the Army Emeritus, but he wanted me to go to West Point and go in the Army. And when I told him that I was going to be a lawyer politician instead, he was mightily disappointed. And when I got sworn in as mayor the first time, a long time ago, he and I were walking right here. So it's fitting that this memorial is in this place. We were walking right there, and he said, "Son, I want you to know, I'm proud of you. But if you'd have listened to me, you'd be a corporal by now." You think of what the military has meant to our country and those that have served in the military, what they have meant to our country. The greatest generation, sir, you, saved us from unspeakable evil during World War II. and then quietly came back and rebuilt our country and made us the empire that we are today. The Korean War, the Vietnam War, those conflicts where they had to go from afar to places that were inhospitable to fight wars, and came back under the not the best circumstances, but quietly went about building the nation. And then the conflicts that we have had over the last 20 years have taken a whole generation of people and changed them, their lives, on our behalf. The mayor and I recently, and I think Commissioner Richardson were with the Vice President of the United States, and he said over 4 million millennials have fought in war. 4 million millennials. And then think of the National Guard, the reserves, what they've done for us, particularly in our state with hurricanes, national disasters. People have selflessly stepped forward to do better for their community, for their neighbors. The least we can do is recognize your service. The day before Veterans Day, on November 10th, the Marine Corps has a birthday. So I'm going to borrow from their motto, Semper Fidelis. We will remain faithful in thanking you for your sacrifice. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor, Commissioners. Now I would like to invite Jonathan Kilpatrick to the podium. When trying to decide who best to carry out our vision for the Wall of Heroes, I look no further than Jonathan. As the director of the Technology and Innovations Department, and as a major in the Florida Air National Guard, I knew that he would give the Wall of Heroes the attention and detail it deserves. A couple of comments from Jonathan.
Mr. Mayor, Commissioners, City Manager, thank y'all. This means a great deal to me, as well as a lot of fellow employees and families. When I was first approached by our City Manager, Rick Fernandez, and our General Manager of Underground Utilities and Public Infrastructure, Mike Tadros, about doing something like this, it was a great opportunity to put something like this in front of the public, as well as our employees, to show our gratitude for the impacts that they have made, as well as our family members that, Commissioner, I think you alluded to the families. I know I'm off script, Allison, sorry. But my wife is in the back. I was thinking as you were talking how many events I have missed, where she's been at 2 events with both kids in order to do what was necessary because I was away. To our family members, some that have submitted, continue to submit those because that's a sacrifice as well. Currently, I'm back on script now. Currently, I do serve as a major in the Florida Air National Guard, the 101st ACOMS Air Communications Squadron at Tyndall Air Force Base. Extremely proud to be able to represent fellow city employees in this way, to show our gratitude, to show what that means to us as a city. And as an employee of the city of Tallahassee, I'm also extremely proud to work for an organization that does show the gratitude to our veterans, to our current service members. Last year, Underground Utilities was awarded above and beyond by the Employee Support of the Guard and Reserve organization, Department of Defense organization, because we as a city do support our Guard and Reserve troops, our veterans. And I truly appreciate working for an organization that has that outlook, that has that vision. To tell you a little bit about the display, and I would be remiss if I didn't thank David Carnes in particular. I don't know, David, are you? He was in the back still David has been the technologist making all of this work. And just to give you a little bit of information about it, a 65-inch display with a touch screen dais that you can select individuals, you can select branches of service, or you can simply scroll through our names. Gives pictures if we have them, also gives who the individual is related to as a city employee, as well as a short bio of who they are, what branch of service they were attached to. And you can see from some of those pictures that they did make us wait till we were 18, regardless of what the photo looks like today. The information presented was sent to David Carnes primarily to be included by family members, by individuals, and allowing us to recognize their service. We would continue to encourage employees to submit their family members, themselves. I know we have some here who are not up there yet, but please continue to submit that information to get our veterans recognized and there. I do want to, as David Carnes is one of our veterans, served in the Marine Corps in the 80s, and thank you for your service, David, as well as your work here. To conclude, I just want to again say thank you to the leadership of our city that sees this as an important value that we want to project both to the public and to our employees. So for that, I do say thank you. And sir, I want to again reiterate thank you for your service. Thank you, Rick.
Thank you, Jonathan. And the real thanks goes to, I think, our mayor and commissioners for providing the leadership and all our programs that support our veterans, whether it's from bus passes to any special occasion or any special recognition of the veterans. Our city commission has led the way in making sure that we honor and recognize all our veterans. This would not be possible without their guidance and support. And to all our military employees, thank you. And with that, I encourage everyone to take a moment and take a closer look at the Wall of Heroes. And don't spend too much time because there's work to do. But thank you very much for being here, and thank the City Commission.